Hey guys, today I'm going to teach you how to fetch a value from an Excel file into your Tosca application. So if you're an automation engineer, using an Excel file to test drive your data is one of the most common things that you would actually come across. So using Tosca application and fetching a value from an Excel file is something that is actually an important concept. So I thought to cover up this scenario in here. So let me open up Tosca command. But before I do that, I would like to tell you the concept in such a way that it would remain in your head almost in your lifetime. So for that, I want you to remember these three letters. First one is O. Second one is R, and third one is M. ORM. So I'm going to give abbreviations of these. So what I'm actually instructing Tosca is that I'm asking Tosca to come up to this location in here, open up this specific Excel file, and then once this Excel file is open, once this Excel file is open, I would want it to navigate to this population sheet and then fetch a value from here and fetch a value from this Excel file. So this is something that is very important concept in Tosca. If you're an automation engineer, you would have definitely come across using Excel to test drive data. Yep, so let's get started. So that's what, as I told you, I'm telling the Tosca commander to go to this location, open up this Excel file, and then navigate to this specific sheet and then fetch the value. So let me come back here. So first thing is that I'm going to tell Tosca to open the application. And then the next thing that I'm going to tell Tosca is to create a boundary. So R stands for range. So here we are actually creating a range or a boundary. So we are setting up till which cells are going to be valid. Like we are going to set up a boundary in Excel file, like from which cell to which cell is Tosca going to use the data from this Excel file from. And then after that we are going to manipulate the data. So in this part you are going to perform some calculations and then fetch the value. So what we are actually going to do is that we are going to so in this Excel file it consists of three tables: country, male, and female. So it's just a population sheet. This is not the right details, but I've just created this table for your reference. Just for the practicing purposes, the data in here are not true. So what I'm telling Tosca is to come to this Excel file and fetch the male population in the USA. So and then store this specific value in a buffer. So that is what I'm going to instruct Tosca. So what I'm going to do is that one of the best things about Tosca is that it has modules to do all the Excel to do all the Excel performances and basic necessities to open and create a range and then manipulate the data. So Tosca is one of the best thing because it has the inbuilt functions in it. Now I'm going to right click, and I'm going to create a test case. Here I would say as Excel fetch value. So now I'm going to create a test case. I'm going to give it as fetch value. So Tosca, what's gonna do is that like you can actually fetch the modules by right clicking here and clicking on search add step, or you can click on home and then go to section and then click on section, and then you would find your modules. You can either go there, but I would personally prefer this because this is more convenient for me. So I'll go ahead and click on search add step. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to open the Excel file. So this is going to be our first task. So let me go up here and I would type in as Excel. So all the predefined inbuilt Excel modules get loaded. And so here, if you see here, open TX box, open Excel workbook. So I'm going to like double click on this. And then once I double click on this, have like imported it, and first things first, it's going to ask what is the name of the Excel file, the workbook name. So here, if you see, there are like two different Excel files in here. One is bottle and one is perfume. So like to avoid confusions, Tosca asks for a unique name. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to right click here and then click on properties. So it would display the name of the file, as well as the reason why I do this is because it gives a location as well as the file name. So I'm going to copy the file name in here. So this is the workbook name, and now I'm going to give a path. So for the path, I would come up here again, copy the location. Very important thing you have to remember is that when you're actually giving a path, you're also supposed to add the name of the Excel file in the end. So I'm going to copy this up, and then gonna paste it in here. Now the path is all been set up. So what we are now instructed is Tosca is to open this specific Excel file. And the next thing, what we're going to do is we are going to create a range. We are going to set a boundary for how countries have boundaries, because they have their own sect of people, their own sect of culture. So based on that, the boundaries are formed. The similar way, in Excel, we are going to create a range, or we are going to create a boundary for that. So for doing that, I'm going to right click on this again, going to search and add steps. Then I'm going to type in here as Excel, and then I'm going to search for define range. If you see here, TX box define Excel range. So this is going to set the range or the boundary in the file. So I'll go ahead and double click on this. So it's been imported, and now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to so first thing it's gonna ask you is the workbook name. So we know how to get it. You're gonna copy this up here, paste it in here. The next thing is that it has now opened the Excel file. Now it's going to, as soon as you open an Excel file, the first sheet is going to be the first sheet, which is on the left side, is going to be opened first. So we are supposed to instruct which sheet to navigate to. So here the sheet name is population, so it's supposed to navigate to population sheet. So I would give here the worksheet name as population, and then after that you're supposed to now, before setting up a border, or let's tell it in layman terms, when you're actually before setting up a boundary to a specific country, you're supposed to name the country. For instance, you're going to name your country as India, and then you're going to, like, set up the boundary and everything. So similarly, I'm going to, like, set up a range name for that. So here I would give as a population value, or I would just give one something very short, p value. So p stands for population, so I'll give it here as p value. So the name range is p value. And now here in the data range, I'm going to, like, set up the boundary. So here it's going to ask you for start cell. So the start cell is going to be something from which the cell is going to start from. So here if you see A and 1, so this is a cell that we're going to start on, and then we're going to end it here. So these are the cells that we are actually going to take into consideration. So here it's going to start from A1. So if you see 1 here and if you see A here, this is the cell it's going to start from. So it's going to be A and then 1. So I'm going to enter the value as A1. So this is the starting point, and then here it's going to end in the C column and then end in the 8th row. So this is the 8th row, and it's going to end in, like, start in C and then end in 8th. So this is the last cell. This is the end of the cell. So here I'm going to enter it as C and 8. So here we have already now defined the boundary. So Tosca is going to understand that, okay, the Excel is so I'm going to perform manipulations or calculations based on these cells only. So have defined the range, and the name of the range is p value. All right. Now the last step is to, like, fetch the value. So we have one more built-in function where we are supposed to manipulate the data which is used for calculation. So we are going to manipulate it, and let me just open up a right click on the test case and then type in as Excel. If you would see here, we have something called T-Box Excel range manipulation. So this is a module, an inbuilt module in Tosca, which is going to perform the calculations and like manipulate the data and stuff like that. So I'm going to double click on this, and I've successfully imported the Excel range manipulation. So here, if you remember, we have already set up a range name in here, which is called the p-value. So it's going to ask, like, what's the name of the range? And now I'm going to just copy this up. So this Excel range manipulation is going to, like, first thing it's going to ask is, like, okay, I'm ready to calculate, but where should I calculate? Then I'm going to tell him you're supposed to calculate in p range. All right. Sorry, p value. So this is the value that Excel is supposed to perform all the calculations and everything. And if you see here, there's a default, there's one more step that's called the data table. So what we're going to do here is that we are going to come up here and get the value of, like, the male population in the United States. So what we're going to do is that there are, like, if you would know, if you are aware of Tosca, I would like to give a small details. there are like two ways to like steer or like play around with the tables in Tosca using dollar values and then a pound symbol, or sometimes it's called hash, I mean whichever you want to call it. So this one is generally used when you want to like hard code something, but this one is like you're not sure of the value in the data file, so you want it to start from here and then stay at the value. So here I'm going to give it as second. Sorry, my mouse has been acting weird. Sorry about it. Okay, so here I'm going to give this the value as $1, and then the first thing is that I would want it to from the cell 1 here, I would want it to like navigate to the country called USA. So here I'm going to give the country as USA, so I'm going to give the value as country. So here, so what I'm trying to tell is that I want it to go here from which is country cell, and then try to search for USA as a country name. So here, country name, and the value would be USA. And here I'm going to use constraint. So constraint is something like a condition which would go and search. It's one of the actions in Tosca, which is to go ahead and perform some conditions on that. So here I'm going to the country here, coming to USA, and then I want to get to know the mail value, and that I'm going to store it in a buffer. So here I would say as mail, and then I'm going to store this as mail population, and this one I'm going to store it in a buffer value. So what I'm going to do is that like it's not going to come up here, it's going to stare from the first row, and then it's going to look for the name, the country name as USA. It's going to come up here, and then it's going to fetch the male population value in here. So let's go ahead and close this up and see if this is going to run or not. Close this up. I've already saved the document. Alright, so let me right click here. So one of the beauty of Tosca is that this gets run in the back end. Like it does not even open the file. It would just perform all the calculations in the back end. Since it does that, there is very less RAM that is consumed. So that's one of okay. So it has completed its calculations. So it's now fetching the results. So let's go ahead and see the results. Okay, so if you see here, data table found. So if you see here, the buffer with name male population has been set to value to 1234. So that was the value that we were expecting. And there's also one more way of seeing a buffer value. You can just come up here, you can click on view, you can click on tools, and then you have something called as buffer viewer. If you just open it, you'll also be able to find the details in here. So if you see here, male population has been set to 21324. So this is how you would actually fetch a value from an Excel file. I hope this tutorials was useful to you. In case if you want me to like continue doing more, or like teach you Tosca from scratch to until you become a master of it, please let me know in the comment section below. So based on the comments that I'm going to receive, I'm going to make more videos of this. Thank you very much, and have a good one. Bye now.